temperatures. Tonight, Governor Abbott is growing outrage tonight over this power crisis. We are now more than 36 hours into the outages in below freezing temperatures. Tonight, Governor Abbott is blasting ERCOT, the state's Electric Reliability Council, saying it is anything but reliable. Tonight, our senior investigative reporter, Scott Friedman, questions the man in charge of ERCOT about whether his agency did enough to prevent this crisis and how much longer we'll have to wait for the lights and the heat to come back on. Scott?
Yeah, Brian, I spoke to both the head of ERCOT and a top executive at Oncor trying to get answers for our viewers. Here's the big takeaway tonight. They cannot give us any clear timeline. It could be another day or even days. So if you
froze up on me. Oh, great.
you don't have power tonight, you may not have it tomorrow. And it's time to think about where you need to go to be safe with another winter storm approaching. Behind the frozen power grid, executives are now in the hot seat.
It's been long, and I know it's been difficult for people.
Bill Magnus heads the state's Electric Reliability Council, which the governor called out as unreliable today after millions wound up in the dark with still no certainty on when they'll have power again.
Are we talking 3 more days? Are we talking 5 more days? Do you have any estimate that you can provide people? Because they need to know what to do over this next week.
Sure. I think as the weather system changes, I mean, we're still going to have winter weather at the end of this week, but these extremely frigid temperatures are shifting out. So I think as we see the worst part of this system move out, and we see that the generation problems that were caused by it get fixed, and which everybody's working on right now, I think, later this week, certainly, and I hope we'll see a lot of it, today, certainly tomorrow, but we'll see the restoration to a normal system.
The holdup right now, Magnus says, power companies are still trying to restore dozens of generating plants that froze up during the storm. He defended his agency, saying the storm was unprecedented and that the actions he took to shut down portions of the electric grid avoid out collapse, an uncontrolled cascading outage.
We haven't had a blackout in Texas. The actions...
It feels like a blackout to people, and I think that's what's frustrating to them.
No, I understand, and I think, the difference is a blackout is not under control. A blackout means rebuilding large parts of an electric system, and a blackout means your power is out for an indefinite, indeterminate amount of time. If we had allowed, instead of going for these outages, to allow a catastrophic blackout to occur, that could be 4 months.
Tonight, Oncor, which supplies power to most homes in North Texas, also told us it's waiting on ERCOT for the go-ahead to bring more homes back online and cannot estimate when power will be restored in most neighborhoods.
If you don't have power tonight, should you assume you're not going to have it by tomorrow and take some action tonight to get to a warm place?
I would say if you don't have power tonight, get to a warm place. I cannot say that and guarantee because I don't know what generators will come back online.
Tonight, the governor is calling for hearings in Austin to demand answers. Even though the storm brought record cold, analysts tell us it's surprising the nation's energy capital was unprepared.
This is not an unusual black swan event. We know that these cold snaps happen.
Energy grid expert Jay Apt points out Texas also saw rolling blackouts in a blizzard in 2011.
This isn't the worst weather ever. We had something very similar just a decade ago, within your memory and mine.
ERCOT tells us that it welcomes the governor's calls for hearings to look into the crisis and to find ways to improve. ERCOT and Oncor originally called these blackouts rolling outages, Brian, but tonight Oncor confirmed in our interview what many of you have suspected. In some neighborhoods, they have never rotated or rolled the locations of the outages at all. They had so little power supply to work with, they simply shut some neighborhoods off and have not been able to bring them back up in more than 36 hours. They tell us they tried to implement more rolling outages overnight, but by morning, they still didn't have enough supply to do that in many neighborhoods. Also, Brian, a piece of breaking news just in, Dallas County Judge Clay Jenkins has just tweeted that ERCOT is now asking providers like Encore to reduce their load again. That means more power outages may begin to increase here. CenterPoint Energy in Houston also tweeting something very similar just minutes ago. We're trying to get more information on this and to confirm with Encore what the impact is going to be in this area, Brian. So we'll keep you posted on that.
Yeah. Round two. This is so... It's maddening.
Going to be in this area, Brian, so we'll keep you posted on that.
Yeah, all this as we have a winter storm moving in tonight, round two. This is so... It's maddening, Scott, but we appreciate the information that you've gotten from these top officials.
Here's the website where you would report your outage if you still don't have power, and it's not just rolling blackouts. It's been off for 36 hours, like he said. Some folks have said their power off for like continual 36 hours. You would just go here, put your phone number in here, put the last 7 digits of your ESI ID number. It's on your bill. And then this is the 9-digit meter number right underneath the ESI number. And then your zip code is required right here. And I'll put this http :// encore.ifactor notify notifi.com/ui/outage-reporting $. Right up here. Let's see if you can see that. It's pretty light. But I'll put it in the description box below the video. And their number is 888-313-4747.
Earlier tonight, Encore told us it was being forced to cut back power again to more homes, although they could not say how many. But then, over the last several hours, the numbers appeared to improve again just slightly. Take a look here at Encore's outage map. You can see more than 918,000 customers are affected. The group that manages the state's electric grid, ERCOT, has ordered these outages to prevent electric demand from exceeding supply, which could cause a massive crash of the entire electric system. In this real-time chart here, you can see how close the demand, the green line, came to the red supply line earlier tonight, and also very early this morning. Now, if an uncontrolled failure happened, ERCOT says it could cause outages that might last weeks or even months. Our senior investigative reporter has been pressing top officials all day for answers, asking when we can expect to have the power back on. Scott, you got a hold of the people that a lot of people want to have a word with.
Yeah, Brian, and the maddening part of all of this, there is still no clear picture of when most neighborhoods will have power again. When I questioned executives at ERCOT and Encore today, they told me it could be a day or two, or maybe this weekend. Meanwhile, new information we've uncovered tonight raises questions about inspections that are designed to prevent this from ever happening.
Almost 48 hours into this crisis, and the people responsible for shutting off power to millions of Texans still can't say when they'll be able to turn it back on.
It's been long, and I know it's been difficult for people.
The ERCOT CEO who manages the state's electric grid told me he hopes to have more customers up in the next 2 days, but it could be the end of the week.
We can tell you that as the weather improves and as these machines get fixed, you're going to be back to a more normal state.
He defended the agency, saying the imposed blackouts prevented a massive collapse of the grid.
We haven't had a blackout in Texas. So the actions...
It feels like a blackout to people, and I think that's what's frustrating to them.
No, I understand. And I think, but the difference is a blackout is not under control.
But for so many Texans, this feels out of control. Today, Governor Abbott called for hearings to get answers and blasted ERCOT's handling of the situation.
They are not providing clear answers either to me or to the public, and the public has a right to know.
Tonight, some power grid experts question how Texas was caught so off guard.
This is not an unusual black swan event. We know that these cold snaps happen.
More than 70 power generating plants were frozen out, even though operators had days to prepare for the weather. Tonight, NBC5 Investigates has learned ERCOT inspections designed to ensure plants are winterized properly did not happen the same way this year. Because of COVID-19, inspectors conducted virtual tabletop exercises instead of in-person inspections. Now the agency says it will look at whether that left some less prepared.
I think we'll look at, every process and practice we have that has to do with winter preparedness, and see if make an assessment of, was that something that could have had an impact or not. I think it's certainly too early to say.
Those tabletop exercises began in November, but ERCOT says some facilities still had not conducted a winter planning exercise. Those were still scheduled for later in February. Tonight, we've also been able to confirm something that many of you suspected. A lot of these outages that Oncor first described as prolonged rolling outages, they were never rolling outages at all. Oncor told me tonight some neighborhoods were simply shut off almost 48 hours ago now, and there was never enough supply to bring those homes back up and then shift those outages to other areas. So aggravating, Brian, for families who were initially told to expect short 15 to 45-minute rolling blackouts.
Yeah, and knowing that they knew that they were not rolling blackouts.
We've been trying to get answers. Again, communication has been very, very difficult with these.
People in Plano are also suffering tonight. Thousands of people there have no power. And so the city is working with local partners to make sure everyone has somewhere to stay warm. Jack Heiberger is live for us tonight. Jack, it sounds like a real team effort there.
Yeah, they're doing their best, and tonight this snow is again...
They don't understand, and they're asking when. I think it's devastating because this church can only do so much.
In some cases, they have not had power for days, and in the most severe cases, people's lives are at risk.
I think it's devastating because this church can only do so much.
It's a situation that Tara Ring simply never imagined.
It's hard just because the kids, they don't understand, and they're asking when is it not going to be cold anymore.
Like so many, her power is out, her young children with each passing hour growing increasingly cold. On Tuesday, Grace Church, in partnership with the city of Plano, opened its doors as a 24-hour warming center.
It's nice to know that our church family is reaching out like it is, and it makes me proud to be a member of this church.
And not far away, a similar effort is also underway, aimed at getting the city's homeless population off the streets.
If we would blow this one night, then if we would blow this one night, I'm like, God, I ain't gonna make it like this.
Ricky Abney was sleeping outside a church when he realized his life was in danger.
We actually increased our services because even particularly in suburban areas, we're seeing more of a need.
The Salvation Army says their warming center is open anytime temperatures fall below 40 degrees. But the salvation it now offers for people like Abney has never been more important.
I'm very lucky. I could have probably died out there or something like that. I got kids, man. So I'm so glad that they did open this place.
Yeah, driving home all of this, Brian, is a metaphor just a few feet from our hotel that really speaks to how messed up everything is right now. Our hotel doesn't have power. It hasn't had power since this afternoon, but across the street, these office buildings have had power virtually the entire day, and many of them have a lot of lights on. So if these are your office buildings, you might want to come switch them off. But a lot of people, including the people in our hotel, doing their best just to stay warm and make it through each day, Brian.
Pictures on social media like that of office buildings with the lights still on at night. It is a frustrating sight. Jack, take care of yourself tonight. Thanks. Are doing what they can to get people out of the cold. 211 will help you find a place with power and heat that is close to you.
This is at 635 in Park Central. The roads haven't been cleared yet. It's at 635 in Emerald. 635 in Webb Chapel. Still hasn't been cleared. Got any other images here? This is March and 6:35. Rosser and 6:35. Montfort and 6:35. Preston and 6:35. Preston westbound and 6:35. It's funny because they're showing the traffic report on the news is saying that their traffic's running fine. Huh. And these are live cameras, so I trust this more. This is, we've already seen that one. Okay. Let's see. 30 and 6:35. 75. See if they're showing that. Not really showing anything on any other cameras. I guess that's it. Just 6:35 is the only one I can. This is 6:35 in Denton Drive. Ratliff Drive. This is Midway at 6:35. This is 5 a.m. We're looking at these pictures at 5 a.m. White Rock Creek, Park Central. This is the High Five. This is the other picture of the High Five. This is the TI Boulevard crossover. I looked at those. And that's all I think we've looked at. Here's the controlled outage website explaining about the controlled outage. I was going to read it out loud, but oh yeah, here we go.
Emergency update. Due to ongoing record low temperatures and generation, ERCOT has continued to direct Oncor and utilities across the state to drop power load through maintained controlled outages. These controlled outages are occurring across the state and the entire Oncor service territory. Oncor was able to rotate some outages overnight, but poor grid conditions have continued to prevent us and other utilities from rotating or rolling the entirety of these outages, leading to extended periods without power for many of our customers. At this time, ERCOT is unable to predict when grid conditions will stabilize and urge all customers to be prepared for extended outages to continue. We also urge customers to prioritize the safety of themselves, their loved ones, and their neighbors. Many local counties have also opened warming stations or shelters, which can be located online or by calling 211.
I tried that, and you'll have to wait on hold for a while.